is actually your open circuit. I'm going to talk more about it. Now, an open circuit basically happens when there is a gap in the circuit. So how does this gap happen? So this gap can happen when your switch is open, or when your electrical components are not connected properly. Okay, so when I say not connected properly means they are not joined properly. Okay, there is a gap. So this is also the reason why when you draw electrical circuit diagrams later on, which I will explain, you have to make sure that your lines are connected to every single part of the components. I will elaborate and I will emphasize this point later once again. So when there is a gap in the parts of the circuit, the bulb or any electric component will not work, because the primary idea is that your electric current is not able to flow through the circuit. So because electric current is not able to flow through the circuit, your electric component will not work. Okay, it is as simple as that. Now, when you have I've just talked about the first type of an open circuit. Obviously, the second one I'm going to talk about is a closed circuit. So a closed circuit happens when all the electric component is actually connected together, no gaps at all, and what happens is that your electric current is able to flow through. The circuit. Now, it's important to note how I actually and what are the terms that I used. So you see, I use terms like circuit open, circuit closed, no gaps, allow electric current to flow through. All right, the circuit. So I want you to be very familiarized with these terms and concepts that I'm talking about, because they need to be included in your answers whenever you're trying to explain how the electric component is able to work or not to work. Now, the next concept I want to talk about would actually be teaching you how to use this framework that I have come up with to help you better answer questions. Okay, so let's apply what we have learned. So it's application time. Okay, so for example, if the question presents you with a circuit, all right, that looks something like this, I'm just going to draw a very simple circuit diagram. So this is a bulb, just in case you don't know. These are your batteries. I'm drawing in the switch, and then I'm closing the circuit. So what's important is you need to check if there's any gaps. Make sure there's no gaps. Alright, so the question is asking you, alright, what would happen if the switch is closed? So in this case, I have drawn the switch closed already, and the question asks you, okay, what will happen if the switch is closed? So in this case, it's closed, right? So you need to actually think about a few things. Now, I always teach my students to use this framework whenever you are answering questions pertaining to electrical system circuits. So the first thing I would use is C, okay, which stands for answer this question. Is this circuit closed or open? Next one is E. Can the electric current flow through the circuit. Last one, CEO. What is the outcome? So let's go ahead and unpack this framework for answering questions related to a circuit. Alright? So C stands for circuit, E stands for electric current, and then after that O stands for outcome. Now the first thing you want to ask yourself is the circuit open or closed? So in this example of the question, I'm going to just pen it down. What would happen to the bulb if the switch was closed? So if the switch is closed, you check, firstly, is the circuit complete or not? So in this case, I would think that it is. So to check, I would usually, take a pen or a highlighter, okay, start from the positive terminal and trace, alright, all the way to the negative terminal. So if there is no gaps, I know that electric currents can flow. So I have to pen it down in my answer. The next part that I want to talk about is when it's closed, the electric current is able to flow through, right? That's my second point. So I need to write that down. Now the third point is talking about the outcome. Now the outcome depends on what is the question about, or maybe even what is the electrical component. So basically, right, in this case they're talking about a light bulb. So the outcome is when electric current flows through, the light bulb will light up. So let's go ahead and see how does your answer look like. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually close or open, right? So when the switch is closed, the circuit is complete. Or I can use another word also known as closed. Thus, electric currents can flow through the circuit. So this is the second point on E. And the last one on outcome, causing the light bulb to light up. Okay, so this is the outcome. So this is the first part is talking about C, second part is talking about E, and the last part is about outcome. Alright, so using this framework, you can interchange it with many application questions. So maybe another question, instead of having a light bulb, you have a electromagnet. So in this case, your outcome, you just have to change it to, when the switch is closed, electric current can flow through the circuit, causing the iron rod to become an electromagnet and attracting paper clips, perhaps if the question has paper clips in it. Alright, so this CEO strategy is really good for answering this type of circuit questions. I hope I'm clear about it. Alright, so moving on, the next part I would like to talk about electrical conductors. This is a very simple